All right, running backs. This is
Let's get
another
funky.
one. Let's get weird. Um, I'm really curious about this. All right, I have an 8 through 6. 8, I have Braylon Allen. 7, I have Bucky Irving. 6, I have maybe a guy you have in the top 5, Jalen Wright.
You have Jalen Wright 6th.
I do, and I have 2 guys that are not in a lot of guys' top 5s, but I really like them. The rest of the guys 1 through 3, as my cat screams in the background. The rest of my guys 1 through 3 are pretty, not 1 through 3, I should say. I've seen 1 through 3 a lot in the draft in terms of they're there a lot. Maybe not in the positions, but they're definitely there.
All right, who you got at 5?
My number 5 is Marshawn Lloyd. I mentioned that I like the running back out of USC, and I was not lying.
Okay.
I think he's a guy who, he's really built, right? He looks like a guy who's probably like a fucking bowling ball. But I think he's really quick, and I think his vision's really impressive. I think he's really patient as a running back. I think he sees the holes really well. He bounces a little bit and then he cuts. He does go to the outside maybe a little bit too often. But he also has the speed to make it up. He has the speed to go ahead and hit that corner and try to take it to the outside. So he's not as fast as like a Jalen Wright or some of the other guys in this class too, but he's definitely quick. He has really good athleticism. And he has some agility to him to make guys miss at that first level to get to that second level. So I really like Marshawn Lloyd. I think he's being overlooked, and I really value contact balance and vision. And I think Marshawn Lloyd and all the other guys inside of my top 5 bring all of that too. Contact balance and great vision. Who's your 5?
Bucky Irving.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that he's being overlooked because he's not the prototypical running back and he doesn't have the prototypical running back build or size or anything like that. But he is not a player. The thing I have the issue with Marshawn is sometimes I just like watching a lot of Caleb just hit the fucking hole. Just go. Like, stop trying to get outside. Stop trying to dance. Just hit the hole and go, my man. Like, we hit the 3 hole. We hit the 3 hole. We hit the 3 hole. And then we bounce it outside because we hit the 3 hole 3 fucking times. If you don't follow the script, if you don't follow the play, the shit we're trying to set up later ain't going to fucking work. And when it comes to the 49ers, everything we do in the first quarter is what we're setting up in the fourth quarter. And Mike McDaniel, everything they do in the first quarter sets up the fourth quarter. Hit the hole, dog. Now, coaching. I'm cool with it. Marshawn could probably be coached up. I just think that in a very weak running back class, I like Bucky's footwork, and I like that he runs, but between the tackles. I don't want to.
Sure.
Somebody fucking kill me for saying this, but Frank Gore used to run between the tackles. He used to have a super low center of gravity. He got hella low and he got through the line and he never took hits. I see that with Bucky a lot. Like he's super low to the ground, man. He doesn't take these massive hits, and he's not a home run hitter. I just think he can be an effective running back. And frankly, talking about a guy that is going to probably be drafted 4th round. I think he brings a lot to the table.
Yeah. Okay. Who's your 4 then?
Jalen Wright.
Okay. I have a guy that you won't have in the top 5. It's Ray Davis. Unless you do.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Again, what did I say? I valued good contact balance and great vision, and I think Ray Davis is up there with some of the better vision in the class. I think he's a guy that you could kind of stick wherever you want in terms of scheme, and he just makes it work. I think he's not the speediest guy in the world. Yeah, sure, that's perfectly fine. He's probably not, he might not be like a number 1 running back type, but I think he's a guy who gets you the extra couple of yards. He gets a 0-yard gain play and turns it into 3.
And it's not decisive.
He's not putting his head down and bullying through. He sees the hole immediately, and he's one cut and right in the hole, and he knows exactly where he's going. I
I
really
love
really
one
value
cut
that,
running backs. I love
and
one cut. I'm with you.
I think that's where Ray Davis sits. So I like Jalen Wright. I do. I think the speed is great, but I'm not going to value over some of the stuff I value more.
And your guy does not have long speed at all.
No, he doesn't.
And he is not a pass blocker worth a shit. So he's not he
got blown up. He got blown up.
The problem with putting him on the field is, you kind of are foreshadowing what the play is going to be. And so he really needs to work on that at the next level to become a little more versatile.
But I think he can. Tony Pollard had
coaching.
Tony Pollard had a shit ton of issues on pass blocking.
Terrible.
And he
was awful.
The past 2 years, he's been fantastic.
Yep.
So I think it definitely could be coached up. And even with his size, I think he's fine. I think he could get there for sure.
Yeah, Ray Davis, one cut ability, really great vision. He makes plays. I'm good with all of that. I just didn't put him in the top 5 because if you can't, with my football team, if you can't block, you don't get on the field, and that's not my mentality. That's just the coach's mentality.
Yeah. Who's your 3?
Trey Benson.
All right. Yeah, I'm kidding.
Is he your 1? No, he's number 2. He's the guy you're thinking is number 2. I didn't make him number 1. I promise.
Okay. Wait. Are you sure? Is the guy from Michigan 1?
No, he is not.
Okay, so
Blake Corum is number 2. Blake Corum is number 2.
Our 1s and our 3s are mixed. Our 1
you put Jonathan Brooks 3?
Jonathan Brooks is 3.
Okay.
I went back to 3 position groups, and it was these last 3 because I fucking couldn't decide. And I rewatched Jonathan Brooks, and I enjoyed what I saw out of him. I am nervous about the torn ACL. He's not a very good receiver, which is fine. It's okay. But I don't think his vision is fantastic. I think he has good contact balance. I think he has very good speed. I think he's a good pass blocker. He has good size. His agility is really good for his size. He's a stand-up runner that kind of you don't expect to make some of the moves that he does. But the only reason he's at 3 is because I like the guys at 2 and 1 a little bit better. And I had Blake Corum. I'll say this now. I had Corum lower in my first watch around, and I watched him again. And I'm like, what the fuck did I miss the first time around?
Respect on his name, motherfucker.
I'm like, damn. I was like, I don't miss something. I'm like, because I was fucking wrong.
So do you want to talk? I agree with everything that you said about Jonathan Brooks, so we can move on from that. Obviously, we're in lockstep with Corum. What made you bring Corum up? Because I've talked about him in the past. You haven't liked him. What changed your mind this time to bring him up to number 2 for you?
The dual threat ability as a catcher and runner. And I didn't see. He doesn't have great speed to get to the outside, but on the inside tackles with his vision, he makes, and it's not like he's seeing the holes. He's almost making holes appear sometimes where you're like, oh, he's stuffed. And all of a sudden he's like wiggling through like a little tiny space. You're like, how the fuck did you get in there? Like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like, but he's also
footwork.
I was going to say he's also fucking like 5 foot, nothing, so contact balance.
There's just so much of his game. I watched a shit ton of Michigan last year. There's so much of his game where you think that's going to be a 1 yard loss or 1 yard gain, and it's a 6, 7, 8 yard,
Yeah.
And Michigan, they had a lighter schedule last year, but he's been doing it for year after year after year after year after year. So I love Blake Corum. I think he's going to be successful at the next level. He's slightly suspicious as a pass blocker, but the difference between him and Ray is that he's willing. He's a willing blocker. And I'm okay with that because that kind of stuff can be coached up. When you're willing to get up in there and make the effort to block, the coach.
He's not chopping at your knees just because you're a smaller guy. You don't know how to block. Yeah, no, I get it. Trey's my 1. Trey's been my 1 since the second I watched him.
Jacob wants Trey on the Cowboys.
I do want Trey Benson on the Cowboys. And what solidified it was his 40 time. 4.39 I think is what he ran, if I remember right. 4.39, I'm pretty sure. So it's like the same thing with like Kool-Aid. Like Kool-Aid solidified his one with a 4.42, with a broken foot. So it's one of those things where contact balance and vision. I think that contact balance, there's nobody better in this class with better contact balance, and then you want to couple in the 4.39 speed on top of that. There's a lot of issues with him in the passing game. I 100% agree with that. So he's probably he's a 2-down back, but I like what he can do on those 2 downs more than anybody else in the class. So I know he has some issues with sometimes he wants same thing with Marshawn Lloyd. He wants to get to the outside a lot, but the difference is this guy has 4.3 speed and he can get outside. It just depends on the scheme he's going to run. And I think a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is very coachable, but his build, his size, his contact balance, and his speed is uncoachable. I want him.
Yeah, I'm just going to put this out here to come back on. I think that he's going to have a terrible rookie year in the NFL, and I think he'll end up a little better. I think this is going to be the type of player that his athleticism was so over the top in the games that he played that he's going to really struggle in his entrance to the NFL. The fact that everybody's as fast as him. I know he had the 40 time, but it really reminds me of Trey Lance and watching Trey Lance and realizing, well, fuck, he's slow. That sucks. He's supposed to be a running, scrambling quarterback, and he cannot get to the corner. There's absolutely zero chance he's getting to the corner against Micah Parsons. It's just
he doesn't have to if he's playing on the Cowboys.
True, which is funny because Brock Purdy could, because his 3-cone is so elite, right? His 40 ain't great, so I just sometimes 40-yard dash is not the end all be all.
So is JJ McCarthy's 3-cone is crazy.
So I just think Trey's going to he's going to have to learn to trust his eyes and trust what he's seeing in front of him a little bit more than just letting his natural athleticism and speed. I think his intro into the NFL is going to be, now he may be one of them players where he hits the hole and the linebacker doesn't fill the gap and he goes for an 80-yard burner. You might see those plays out of him, but I just think he's going to have to adjust to the speed and athleticism of the NFL, which is why I dropped him to 3, because I think that as a runner, sometimes he relies on his athleticism as opposed to the technicalities of the position just a little bit too much. Now, 3 or 4 years from now, I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL, but his intro to the NFL, I think, will be a little rough for him.
Yeah, and putting it out there for all the Cowboys fans, I want every single guy, any one of the guys who are 5 through 1, I will take. Honestly, I don't want to draft Braylon Allen, so he ends up at the bottom of the list because I didn't scout any more guys. So I just don't want Braylon. And unfortunately we're linked to him pretty frequently. That's why I put that out there.